morning, it's time for a cup of Joe.
I want to be a cup of Joe, the first sip in the morning.
Let's get to some comments. Alright. Elise MJ says, chairs are the worst invention ever. Unhealthy. Look it up. I never use chairs or couches, etc. anymore. That is very true. Chairs are very bad for your posture. Our bodies were not designed to be sitting for a long period of time. And that's another reason that school is terrible. But the reason I'm doing this comment is because Aaron and I started going to this amazing chiropractor. Not like the kind of chiropractor that's like, oh, I'll adjust you so you feel better. But it's like this whole like maximize living wellness like thing. So they're all about like healthy eating and healthy living and exercise and all this stuff. Anyways, they x-ray you and they tell you how messed up your spine is from our modern way of living. And my spine has lost 70% of its curvature that it's supposed to have. So, and I have the onset of arthritis. And Erin was not much better. In fact, she was a little worse. So, and even our kids had some issues. So Erin's going to be taking the kids there, and they're going to be getting fixed up. I, however, am screwed because I work all the time, and I work really far away. I travel, and I work far away from where our chiropractor is. So I just got my x-ray to find out how messed up my body is. So now I know.
Cup of Joe.
Rachel Smith says, I agree with everything in your video. I want to add also that we don't want our minimalist life view to cause us to be proud or puffed up, thinking we're better disciples just because we have less. I say this because there's a cultish group in my town that does this. They love to talk about how they are holy because they gave up their possessions and moved in together. In a way, that's just as superficial as consumerism. Anyway, thanks for the video. That's very true, and that's a problem. It's hard for me to like share about how great being a minimalist is sometimes without like coming across as like preachy. Some people get that vibe, like it's like, oh, well, you think you're so much better than me, especially when they are resistant to minimalism and they want to hold on to their own worldview and convince themselves that their way is better. So when I'm like, oh, you know, it's so awesome getting rid of your thing, you should try it. And they're like, no, you think you're so much better? It doesn't matter what I own. What matters is in my heart, which is true. But getting rid of what you own can really help what's in your heart. But you're right. Being that's just as superficial. You're like worshiping yourself instead of worshiping your items. It's like trading in one bad thing for another. So yeah, if you're a minimalist, just be humble. Humble-size yourself.
Cup of Joe.
Elise MJ, hey, you're back. Elise MJ says, if they are over 3 years or older, so my kids, if they're over 3, why say our toys and not just their toys, so that they can learn for themselves what it means to own things and not be forced to part with it, but advised to. Just don't give them more toys yourself. Okay, that's an interesting question. So why do I say, why do I call them our toys instead of their toys? You know, this is your toy, this is your thing, and I can't make you get rid of it because it's yours. Well, I've always thought, first of all, growing up, I've always thought that it was so annoying how, at least my parents and the parents of the people I knew would be like, oh, this is yours, and you owned things, but then at any point you just suddenly didn't, and they could do something, like, especially with your room. It was your bedroom, but then if they wanted to oust you and move you to a different room, or change the wallpaper, or whatever they wanted to do, suddenly it's their house, and, well, they paid for it and everything, and so it's like this weird, like, thing, and I don't want my kids growing up misunderstanding what things they own and have control over and what things they don't. So for me right now, they kind of understand that they don't own anything. They don't own any of their toys. All of that stuff has been provided for them, and they are sort of allowed to keep it based on the rules of the house and what their parents have decided. And I just think that for me, family is all about the way our family is set up is family is all about community, and I just think God designed our families to be in communal living. We share a space. Like my kids are never going to have their own bedroom for one single person. That to me is not a healthy way to grow up. I'm not saying that if your kids have their own room, they're going to be messed up or something. I just think that the best way for me that I can see to teach selflessness, which is a huge thing that our society struggles with, and that's what I really want to impart my kids with, is a selflessness. So I want them to share their bedrooms with their siblings, and I don't want them to think that they own these toys and that they're so that they can be possessive of them or anything like that. Now, some people would say that I'm going to make them go in the opposite direction. Like, as soon as they get out of the house, they're going to want to own so many things because they were never allowed to. And I mean, that's possible. I'm not going to say that's not possible. But I am going to allow them to own certain things as they get older, but it's going to be very intentional. It's going to be a very special thing. It's going to be like, yeah, you had these toys and things, but those weren't really yours. The family kind of shared them, and it was like, whatever. But then when you do have your first, like, actual possession, a Bible is going to be one of the main ones. A rosary as well. Actually, my kids all have rosaries. So that's like their one possession, kind of, a rosary. So for me, what you own is going to be very special. It's going to be a very important thing, an important moment when they receive that. And then we're going to talk about responsibility and what that means, and like, yeah. So really, right now, my kids don't own anything except maybe a rosary, and they know that, and I want them to know that their toys aren't theirs. It's the family toys, and that they all share them, because I don't think a kid needs to own anything. Like, what are you doing owning something unless you can take care of it? Maybe you could pay for it or something like that, So for me, ownership and responsibility are very linked, and I want to use ownership as sort of a teaching tool and a life lesson.
Cup of Joe.
Hopefully that answers your question. Finding a Way says, is there a way you prevent major influx of toys from relatives for birthdays, Christmas, etc.? I have not been very good about this or good at this, because what I would say is you just need to tell. What I should probably do. Here's what I think we should do. Finding a Way. Why don't we tell our relatives, like grandparents and godparents and all those people, first limit them. If you want to give our children a gift, or a certain child a gift, that's fine. Limit it to one, please. So I would say ask them for birthday, Christmas, anything. Limit to one gift, and then what I generally tell people, or kind of what I think, hopefully the understanding is that if you don't want that toy to disappear after a week or two, you should get it approved by me first, really, because sometimes we just get duplicates. Sometimes we get things that don't fit into what my vision really is of what toys our kids should have, things like that. So for me, for my family, hopefully, if you're my family, you're watching this, have I made this clear? I don't know, but my idea is, if you want this gift to last, you should get it approved by me first. Otherwise, it's going to be gone. So we don't have to tell. Like, grandparents love giving grandkids gifts. That's just, oh, they love doing it. So you can't just tell them, well, don't give my kids any gifts. But I would say, please, for each occasion, limit it to one thing only. And if you want it to last, ask me first.
Cup of Joe.
So as Rebecca Christopher says, when your girls outgrow the letter puzzles your dad made, you can super glue the letters on and use them as wall hanging. So that's a really cool idea. I made a video about my kids' toys, and there's those letter puzzles, and it's got their names. Really nice wood that my dad made. Here's the thing. I do like that idea of gluing them together and hanging them up. And I'm not going to say I'll never do it, but how should I say this? I don't like having named things, like bath towels with your name embroidered on, or a backpack with your name on it, or maybe like your name on a sign in your bedroom or thing. I feel like that's kind of like self-worship in a way. Like, it's always not necessarily worship, but like it's always reminding you of yourself and bringing you back to yourself. And I think in our culture, we do this in so many ways we don't even realize it, and we do it in harmless things like that, like maybe hanging up a really cool wooden sign with your name on it in your bedroom. And that might seem so cute and harmless and nice, but for me, I just feel like it's just we too much are always reflecting back on ourselves and thinking of ourselves, and kind of having this selfish outlook, really.
Cup of Joe.
Katie4 says, I think you have a great selection of toys for the kids. No technology, I assume. That is right, Katie. Katie4, we do not have technology. We don't let our kids have the tablet or the phone or all that stuff. Now, right now, we are living with Aaron's sister, and she has a tablet, and there's this princess game on there that the kids all love to play. And like Damien, oh my gosh, he's only 1 year old. 1 year old. he's like super into the tablets. Aaron's mom has one, Aaron's sister, and he's sucked to, like, he's like, oh, the screen, and if you take it away, he just bawls and bawls, and this worries me, because I think they say boys are more into video games and all that. They're more just like, I don't know, boys are more visual, I guess, and like they're really into the screens. And at 1 year old, like that will rewire your brain. Like, I don't know if people realize this, but especially when they're at that young age, if you let them watch all this TV and do all this stuff, it does rewire your brain. And I don't want my kids to that to happen to them, and I also just don't want them to think that that is the only way they can entertain themselves by watching TV or playing those games. So yeah, we don't do any of that stuff in our house.
Cup of Joe.
The 22726 says, I wish they had had no toys as smaller children. They ignored their bought toys and enjoyed playing with cups and bowls in the kitchen sink, cooking and emptying cupboards of tin cans. My kids do that too all the time. You don't actually need toys because they'll make toys out of whatever. She says, as they became teenagers, we started to play board games together and do jigsaws, and we still do. She lists all the games. It seems like a lot of games, but we played every evening when one or both are home from university, and often just the two of us. This is so true. I was thinking about this after reading this comment, and my kids really like board games too. Like almost every night we play Candyland and Sequence, which are the only two board games they own, but we play them all the time. They really like it. I was thinking how board games, I might make a full video on this. Board games, I think, can be a really great tool, um, not only to replace the TV and kind of get the TV out there and bring in board games and card games, but also to bond your family. Like sitting around watching TV as a family, I would say it is minimally bonding. You might laugh at some jokes together, maybe talk about it. But a board game, that's going to get everyone together really interacting. So like, yeah, board games and like card games, and any games really, like charades or whatever, they're such a powerful tool to like bring people together. So yeah, that is awesome. Who needs real toys, really?
Cup of Joe.
Sarah Wood says, I have a hard time letting go of childhood toys from my first child. Everything else in my home I have no issues getting rid of, but for some reason the toys are hard. So for this, I can definitely understand that we have sentimental value connected to maybe those first toys our kids had, or maybe toys that we had growing up that we're passing down to our kids. But if you feel like there's too many toys and you think that you should get rid of them, but maybe you don't want to, I would suggest maybe picking one or two real favorites, real kind of treasures of that childhood, and then letting the rest go, because it can be too overwhelming, especially at first, to think I have to get rid of all of these. No, I can't do it. And then we hold on to all of them. Well, allow yourself maybe to just hold on to one or two and then let the rest go. That's what I would suggest.
Cup of Joe.
Chaz Evansdale says, yeah, this is minimal quality in regards to my empty house video tour. Says you should have used the front-facing camera and not the self-facing camera for this video. We mostly see a tour of your face and sometimes see the rooms. Free motion sickness. Okay, look. First of all, the only reason I literally made that video on the fly. My dad and I were cleaning out the house before the buyers move in there, and my dad was out mowing the lawn. I'd kind of done the stuff that I was gonna do, and I just figured, hey, might as well show you guys. I know you couldn't see all the stuff that we had, or apparently anything really, but my face. I was trying to give an idea of, if nothing else, how big the house was that we moved out of. So that when I do my house tour where we're living, you can kind of see that contrast. And I just thought about it on the fly. I'm like, I'm going to do this. Okay, so it was unprepared. But the reason for keeping my face in the video, which apparently took up the whole video because I didn't have a selfie stick or anything, the reason for doing that is because I am so disinterested in videos that don't have people's faces in them. Like, if you like family minimalism, you make great videos, but it's just, for me, it lacks something when I can't see that person. I'm a people person. I want to see who's talking to me. I want to see their facial expressions. I don't know. I want to make that connection. So I get so much more out of like tours and videos that show the person who's doing it. So that's why I did that, thinking that it would add something because that's how I like it. But really all it did was add my face and take everything else. So sorry about that. This has been your Cup of Joe.